The
Words Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast. It is good to be here. The Sunday sessions, the Sunday sessions. I was going to call it something else, but I thought that we don't have another name. It's the Sunday
There is
session.
nothing else.
If you're new here, if you're not new here, my name's Eamon. This is my co-host and my friend Warner. And for the last couple of years, we've been doing this podcast together. What's the word?
Jeez, wow, that makes it sound. Jeez, yeah, you're right.
No, it's weird to think about.
It's been years now, isn't it?
It's been a couple of years, and since last year, we've been since lockdown 1. Yeah, that's right, guys. I know that seems like absolute years ago, but lockdown number 1, we've been doing it every single Sunday, bringing you some top quality content, interviewing people, reading the Bible, talking about the Bible, exploring hot topics. It's been fun, and we're glad that you guys come with us. And today is going to be a good one as well. So if you are here, if this is your first time, or you watch this live and this is your first time, or not your first time, you're here every single week, say hello in the comments. Just put a little comment saying hi.
And let us know, what are you doing with your bank holiday?
Yeah, let us know what you're doing with this
one. You can go to the cinema now. You can go to your favourite restaurant.
Yeah, weather's nice as well. So, you know, the possibilities are endless, really. So, let us know what's going on. And if you are, as well as that, like the stream. And if you can, share the stream, because everything you do, in terms of engagement, helps it get it out there further. And we love that. It's important. It's easy for you guys. It's easy for us. Get out there. More people can hear what the Lord is doing. But if you are listening on Spotify podcast app, the Apple Podcast as it's just called podcast.
Maybe even iHeartRadio. You know,
iHeartRadio. I didn't even know that was a thing. So there you go. iHeartRadio.
Yeah, so I think that's podcasting.
Subscribe to us, number 1, and give us a 5-star rating. That would be grand. So I can already see some people here. Hi, Marilyn and Christine and David Smith. Yo, I'm in Manchester. Shout out to David Smith. He's been on the show. He's been on the show before, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. He's been on the show a bunch of times.
No, but I don't think he's ever been. He's not been in this this version.
No. He's been on the
OG show.
OG thing. So we'll. He's just finishing up Bible school. So once he's back this way, once he's finished, we'll get him on and see,
grill him about Bible school. Ask him some questions.
So if you guys want to submit all your hardest questions,
please.
Then what we can do is ask David, because obviously he's just learned all of it.
Yeah.
So he'll tell you everything, and we'll just chill out.
Yeah, he'll answer all your Bible questions, guys, because that's what Bible school's for. Jane's here taking Sophie to the beach. Look at that. That's a nice thing to do with the weather, Take to the beach, but on Tuesday, a bit more quiet. Respect that, But anyway, start how we always start. Warner, tell the people, how was your week? What's been going on?
How was my week? My week was another, just average week. 7 out of 10 weeks. It's just one of those months of just, nothing. On the whole. Although it's it's just there's a lot of wild COVID stuff happening in my extended family. A lot of people getting sick and or dying in Zambia. So that side is not great. Like both sides of my family, like not just my own family. That my family-in-law, it's just wild. So, please, people, stay safe with COVID. I know that we can deal with it a bit better here. But honestly, hearing about someone passing every week or 2 or 9 days or something. So, still just got to make sure that we stay safe, make sure other people are safe. But other than that, doing all right, mate. Cheers. How about you? Let us know, how's your week been?
It was a bit of a rocky one for me this week.
Oh!
I'll tell you why. Let me tell you why.
This is the place. Come on.
Let me tell you why.
Tell us why.
On Wednesday night, Manchester United played in a cup final. Okay,
Oh.
we haven't won a
Sorry,
trophy in a couple
I'm
of
just gonna
years.
have to update my score as well because I totally forgot about
Okay.
last night.
The big
If you
one.
know, you
But
know. If you
you see,
know, you
this is the
know.
thing, right? Okay. So Wednesday, Man United lost in a cup final. And
You did.
essentially, we should have won the game. On paper, we were the far better team. On paper. But on the night, we were rubbish. They were better than us. They won. Fair play to them.
Bit of a Manchester trend this week, isn't it? Wow. Oh my gosh.
And so I was very angry. I was very disappointed in Manchester United.
Aw.
But then
Aw.
we skip over to last night. And the other half of the city were in the Champions League final, the better competition
Yeah.
and a better team.
Yeah.
And I was really worried that my team, Man United, were going to lose in a final and City would win in a final. And it was going to really bug me. But, you know, Chelsea came through for
Come
the
on,
boys.
let's be having your blues. Come on, Chelsea. And look, I've got to say this, right? Where we live is a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And basically everyone on the street is a City fan.
Yeah, it's true.
So the week before, days before, see all the flags are out of the houses. Yesterday, our neighbour had about 10 City shirts on the clothesline. Do you know what I mean? Everyone, all the different houses, had loads of people around, all having fun. And I was just thinking, look, it's been a while since we last won the Champions League.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'd love to just win the Champions League for winning it, but particularly because of my environment, that made the victory all the sweeter. And I gotta say, it was only one goal, but when we scored that goal, I ran to the front window, opened it, screamed Chelsea out there, so I knew they could hear. Yeah. Then I went to the back as well, screamed Chelsea out there, so they know they can hear. Because you know what? Sometimes when you defeat your Goliath, you that's the victory you got. You know what I mean?
Preach.
David chopped their heads off. I didn't go that far. You know what I mean? I didn't chop the head off. Like I could have, but I thought, you know, obviously they're suffering. But it was nice. Not gonna lie, it was good.
That's what I mean. It cheered me right up. You know, bit of a rough Wednesday night, but you know, Saturday. I don't even like Chelsea, but I don't like City more. So it was basically just pick the best of a bad bunch. I was like, come on, Chelsea. And they did it. They did it for the boys. And it cheered me right up from Man United losing. So it's happy days for me. It's happy days. But anyway.
And congratulations to Brentford.
Yeah.
Any Brentford fans out there, welcome to the Premier League.
Welcome to the Premier League. The 50th club to ever reach Premier League. Shout out to Oldham, who were once in the Premier League. Just want to throw that out there.
Right. Oldham didn't do anything, by the way, guys. That shout out wasn't for a recent achievement.
It was for 2 years in the early 90s, but that's not.
But you know what? It's important to remember that kind of stuff. That's
exactly,
nice
heritage.
What we're doing.
Heritage. So anyway, Warner, question of the week. Hit the people with it.
Question of the week. Right, guys. So here we go. This could be an interesting one. We'll see. So, Eamon, would you rather have to speak in rhyme for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Or have to speak in riddles for the rest of your life?
I've had a think. And I've decided I'd rather speak in rhyme for the rest of my life.
Ooh,
because I think if I spoke in riddles, everyone would get really annoyed at me all the time. Just like, what are you talking about? Can you just speak like a normal person? So I thought, take that, and then obviously when you talk rhyme, then I can put some backing track to it. It's like I'm just constantly vibing. I'm just constantly flowing.
Wow.
You know.
Right. Okay.
Record a little bit of it, sell it on.
So you're gonna break out into a rap career, or or something like that.
It's basically going to be like real life Hamilton. Do you know what I mean? Like normal events going on in life, and I'm like
probably less pistol duels.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. I mean, I'm not about that pistol life, pistol duel life. So, just sort of pure rhymes, happy days, record it, backing tracks. What about you?
I would also go with rhyme because I think there are more advantages of being able to communicate in rhyme.
Yeah.
Just like off the top of your head that you don't even realize you're doing it. You're just doing it. Whereas riddles, like, I feel like riddles. People would always be like, "What does that mean?" And I could
Yeah,
never
yeah,
explain. I just have to. I just have to do. Like I would in my head, I would think I'm explaining this riddle to you, and it's
yeah,
not really a riddle. It's just simple. But I'd be speak. I'd speak. I'd give the answer in another riddle, obviously.
yeah.
And so then it would be like, what? I don't understand.
But I
So, but
think,
maybe that would work for an introvert, because I'm introverted. So maybe that's, I don't know. But
like,
I'm
as
going
well
with
as that,
rhyme anyway. I'm going with rhyme.
you might sound like a philosopher, wouldn't you, if you're speaking in riddles? Like
100%.
people might go,
You,
"Oh,
you 100%. Yeah.
this
You would
guy's this
probably end up being in more important rooms than you're supposed to be in.
100%."
Because, like, people who have, you know what I mean? Like, conferences and stuff love having
Yeah,
people who, like, say stuff
yeah,
that just, like, you'll be doing all the TED Talks because everyone will be like, wow, so
exactly.
profound. But really, you might just be
You,
asking, like,
yeah,
when's the next, episode of this thing on? Well, because
yeah.
you phrase it as a riddle, it's like, it breaks people's brains, Yeah.
That's it. Look, see from the comments, we've got some more. We've got 2 people on the rhyme side. On the rhyme gang. Respect that. Mongo said riddles, and they're like Jesus.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I guess so. I think that's solid. That's a
Yeah,
decent
it's
answer.
parables where, yeah.
I think I could see the benefit of riddles just because I could just be like, oh, this is how I like my
Right,
tea, and I can
explain it.
explain it. And
Yeah, but
then
that's the thing. You're not
no, but
explaining
that's what I'm
it.
saying. But people, but I could literally just say the most mundane stuff, and people go, "Oh, that's so profound. That's so deep. Oh my gosh. Oh, comes. You still get speaking engagements just by just waffling nonsense.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it's good career, isn't it? Whereas, but like I think I like the
Yeah, I
idea.
think either way, career-wise, you could be sorted because
Yeah,
you can go into stuff.
100%,
It just
100%.
it just depends on how. I just feel like, I mean, I know if someone speaks to me in riddles, that's an issue for our conversation because I'm not about to be figuring out a
Yeah,
bunch of riddles. Do you know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
not.
But I think as
Not
well,
my
like
life.
I think sometimes you just even if people did speak in riddles, sometimes just like turn it off, mate. Just give me a normal conversation. If I'm in the pub with
Yeah.
someone watching the football and they're just speaking riddles about the football, I'm like, bro, just tell me what's going on. Just chill out a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. But I think rhyme for me. Happy days. So yeah, let us
Nice.
know if you haven't already. Let us know. We really like to, and let us know why as well because that's the most interesting part. But anyway, moving on. As you'll know, we've been looking at various topics over the past, I don't know how long, but each week we take a topic each and we sort of we explore it. We
I
go
think this
through
is the
it.
third one now, right?
Third one, within this sort of group that we've been,
Yeah.
third one,
Within this podcast universe.
yeah. So if you've got any suggestions of what you want us to look at or talk about, please put it in the comments. Please send us a message. We'd love to add it to the list. But Warner is going to take us away in what we're going to talk about today. Over to you, mate.
Yes, that's correct. So, just a bit of a disclaimer. I do have a bit of a lull of energy. I don't know if anyone actually has used this app before. There's an app called Rise, and it's really cool because it tells you, it basically like analyzes your sleep,
Right.
and works out your daily rhythm and like your peaks and stuff.
All right.
So so I got that on a trial. Anyway, I'm saying that because basically, between like, I don't know, 1 p.m. and like 5 p.m. something like that is like an energy dip. So now I'm very aware of like when I know that a dip is coming because it basically helps you train of like, try and do more brain intensive stuff as you're at your peak, and then when you're in your dip, like chill out a bit before your next peak in the evening and stuff like that. So hey, I just thought that was interesting. So if you want to know about that, and also sleep debt, sleep debt's a real thing. If you're staying up too late or not getting enough sleep, you're in sleep debt to yourself, and shouldn't be in debt to anyone technically. So.
Nice facts. There's the wisdom. Good night, guys.
That's not me. That's what it says there. So yeah. So it helps you like figure out how much sleep debt you have, how to fix your sleeping pattern, and like optimize your days. It's interesting.
They should
Super
sponsor
interesting.
us. They should sponsor us.
Anyway, yeah. My whole point is to say I'm in a dip right now. I actually feel tired. So, but we carry on for the brand, guys. This is what we're here for. carry on for the brand. So we're talking about testimonies, and
Yeah,
this is a big topic, really. You know what I mean? You could
yeah,
go anywhere with
broad.
testimonies, but hopefully we'll just break it down, do it simple, and do it well. Hopefully that's up to you guys. So if it's well or not, but let's kind of look at what's it all about. What kind of jazz is that? So Mark 5:19. This is Jesus. He's just healed someone, and this guy wanted to go and be like this guy's a Messiah, and Jesus says that it says he did not permit him, but said to him, "Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how He has had mercy on you." And then Psalm 22, verse 22. I will tell of your name to my brothers. In the midst of the congregation, I will praise you. And then 1 John 1, verse 2-3. The life appeared. We have seen it and testified to it. We proclaim to you the eternal life, which was with the Father and has appeared to us. We proclaim to you what we have seen and heard, so that you may also have fellowship with us. And our fellowship is with the Father and with His Son, Jesus Christ. And so basically this kind of shows us what testimony actually is, because it's a very big, well, it's not very big, but it's a big Christian word. It's used in law and stuff, but in general society, if you say testimony to someone, they either won't know what it means, or if they're kind of aware of law and stuff like that, they'll be like, oh, like a courtroom.
Yeah.
But really what it means is you're just giving, you're effectively sharing an experience of something from your point of view, something that you've seen or experienced, whatever, to someone else. So that's why in law, in court, if you're giving your testimony, you're giving your experiences of a situation and explaining that to the people there. And so that's what it is, where we experience something and then we tell people what that experience is. And this is probably, I would say, definitely top 3 Christian weaponry.
Nice.
I would say. I think I'd probably say top 2, to be honest.
What's your top 3?
I'd say it's probably prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer. Oh, see, now maybe it's not number 2. I feel like it should be prayer, the word, and then testimony. But it depends, because it could be fluid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that for now. We'll see. That could change. It depends how you're feeling at any given time, to be honest. But anyway, the whole point is this is way more important than I think we sometimes have an awareness of why it's important.
Yeah.
And this scripture is a good, just one sentence explanation of that. Revelation 12:11, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. So testimony is part of why it's important, is because it helps us to overcome situations. And if you are a human being alive today, you are going to face situations that you will need to be able to overcome.
Yeah.
And testimony is one of your critical things that will help you. And as we look on, we'll see and just chat through different things of where that happens, really. And so testimony is all about what you experience and how you communicate that experience. And one of the earliest examples of testimony in the Bible, it's quite a well-known one. Genesis 28, verse 17 and 22. And this is Jacob. And says, he was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. So he's he was sleeping, and then I think this is the stairs story, isn't it, where
Yeah.
he sees the
Angels.
angels ascending and descending. That's a whole other preach. That whole ascending, descending. Hey, that's cool. That. You should do a study on that. Yeah, ascending and ascending, and he's just like basically has this crazy experience of God and the heavenly realms, and he's just like, whoa, what has happened here? Don't understand it. This is insane. This is awesome. And then in the morning, he took a stone that he had put under his head, and he set it up a pillar and poured oil on the top of it. So he anointed this thing, and he called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of the city was Luz at first. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God. And this stone, which I have set up for a pillar, shall be God's house, and all of that you give me, and all that you give me." I'm so tired. I can barely breathe. And all that you give me, I will give you give a full tenth to you. So there as well, we see we got tithe here as well before
Yeah.
the law. So if that's something you're struggling with, there it is. Sorry,
There it is.
got nothing else to say. But I think this is a really good example of like what a testimony looks like as a basic structure of life. Do you know what I mean? So Jacob has this insane experience and revelation of God, and has an experience of God, and it causes him to do something which will help him remember it. So the reason that he took the stone, made a pillar, anointed it, which in itself was an act of worship, was so that he would always remember when he passed that place that this is where I experienced God in this way, and this is the specific experience that I had, and also so that the people that he was with would know, oh, this place Bethel, this is where, remember Jacob said that he had that experience where he saw all the angels ascending and descending, and he was like, well, this is crazy, like this is where it happened, these stones here. And so he has this experience. He creates something where he can remember it, creates that monument, and then he gives a vow to God, saying basically, seek first the kingdom is what he's saying here. He's saying, look, God, I'm gonna trust you that you're gonna provide me food, shelter, clothing, everything that I need, and you're gonna be my Lord. And then he does all that, and then he goes off on the rest of his journey and his story. And I think that's really kind of what the heart of testimony is about, is that we experience God, and that experience we then form that to be something that helps point us back to Jesus, and helps us reaffirm the lordship of Jesus in our life, and also helps us reset the priorities of life. Do you know what I mean? Because at this, like, Jacob was going through some mad situations at this point as this was happening, and this was coming around the time he was starting to turn things around for himself and in his own character, and he became someone who did some great things, and showed some great perseverance, which you heard about this morning. And I think with everything that he did after this point, he would have always been remembering that moment, and especially whenever he would travel past it, of course he would remember that. And that's one of the key things that testimony and is there for us. So it's not just about get as many experiences of God as possible, and then forget. But we're part of why we can experience God is so that we can also create a bank in our mind of times when God has done this thing. So I've experienced God in finance. And so in my own life, in my mind, I create a monument of testimony to God where I experience God in finance,
That's good.
which then means the next time I'm on the financial journey, the next time I come close to this situation, instead of me thinking, "Oh my gosh, like now I'm here again."
Yeah.
Like I managed to get out last time. Now whatever it is, you know what I mean, whether it's debt or not in a job or whatever, and it's like, oh, now I've got financial trouble. What am I gonna do? Maybe I should get payday loans. Maybe I shouldn't. And maybe I should steal. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should blah blah. Maybe I shouldn't. Instead
Yeah.
of that, what should happen is you meet the situation, but then you meet your testimony, your monument of
Yeah.
experience
Good.
with God, and suddenly you remember, oh yeah, but I remember I went through this thing, but then I experienced God in this way, and that changed me. And you know, I remember when it happened, I was so excited, I was so happy, and I
Yeah.
was even more dedicated to God afterwards. So yeah, obviously, like, let me just respond positively towards God in this
Yeah.
situation now, and that became like a staple in the way that God would instruct His people. So if you
Yeah.
read through the Old Testament specifically,
Mm.
this whole thing about um, putting stones, laying stones down, or creating a
Yeah.
monument or an altar when something significant had happened was very critical to
Yeah.
them living life with God. And part of the reason was that forgetfulness is probably the number one, maybe not the number, possibly the number one cause. I don't know. It's pretty close to like pride. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
forgetfulness in the Old Testament is one of the main causes of
Yeah. 100%.
a lot of the cyclical stuff that happens. Like when you're reading it and you're like, I can't believe that the Israelites didn't do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all do it. Oh, when you're reading through Judges, oh, we just heard that you went through this and someone came to save you, and now you've forgotten, and then we have to go through all that, and someone else has to come, and da, 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 da,
Yeah.
da. And you know, very holy Christians, we think, oh, that could never be us. But really, what happens if you read it is that all these people would experience God in an incredible way,
Yeah.
incredible victory, and then after some time they would forget, and then because they forgot, they would then end up falling to different things, getting involved in different
Yeah.
things, in different cultures and different things that they weren't supposed to be getting involved with, which would then lead them towards other stuff, which would then
Yeah.
bring them in a situation where they need help again, and then they would experience God, but then they would forget again, and all that stuff. So that's why forgetfulness is massive. And even with what happened with the Egyptians and the whole Joseph story, part of the tragedy of the Joseph story is that, well, but obviously it was meant to happen that way, but the reason why the Israelites became slaves is because Pharaoh forgot, the Pharaoh who came after the one that Joseph served, wasn't aware, forgot about all this stuff that Joseph had done to save Egypt, and that God
Yeah.
had done through Joseph to save Egypt. And so therefore his perspective of the Israelites wasn't the perspective he should have, based off, like, these are the people who, like, their main leader helped save our entire nation
Yeah.
just a generation ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't an excessive amount of time,
Yeah.
but it was enough time that he forgot, and so then he treated the Israelites in a way that he was experiencing it himself. So there's that. Testimony is our experiences that
Yeah.
help us overcome our situations, and it's important for us that we each personally create our own monument in our mind, whether you want to do that literally just in your mind, or you want to have it written out and stuff like that, or you want
100%.
to share it with people, however it is. But first and foremost, it helps us to navigate our own life, and it helps anchor us and shift our perspective from what we're going through to who we're going through it with. And so If you can remove your, like we heard from the testimony today about Joseph, is that who was going through some work stuff, and he was like, God, what's going on with this thing? Like, why am I having to jump through a bunch of hoops for this job? Da 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 da. I should not be able to do this job already. And God said to him, what's your vision? And part of testimony is that it helps realign us with God's vision.
Yeah.
And God's perspective, because we see, well, God's done this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so if God did that then, and I
Yeah.
can remember, and I think part of the power of testimony as well is, don't just remember what God did. Remember where your mind was when. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, remember how bad you felt. Remember how much you thought the world was over. Remember how bad. Da, 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 da. And then remember the impact that God being in that situation made, not just to the situation, but to your own health and wellness. Do you know what I mean? We're all about health and well-being, to your own mental health, to your own family, to your own kids. And it will prevent you from getting into certain cycles that you will otherwise fall into. Just, do you know what I mean? And you know, we all know stories of people who we either grew up in church with, or, you know, were in church at some point and maybe aren't anymore. And we know that there are, like, they've been through some insane stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they've had experiences with God that
100%.
would make other people think, like, this is absolutely impossible.
Yeah.
And then, but they've just forgotten. They're no longer aware that they had an experience of God in this way, and that has not shaped their perspective. So then you make decisions not based off your experience of God, but based off other things, and that can take you in different directions, you know. And so also one massive thing about testimony is that it's a major evangelistic tool.
100%.
And you know, this is probably, I don't know if it's not a secret, but you know, if you want to evangelize effectively, this is basically what Jesus would tell a lot of people to do. Go to the people around you, tell them what I've done for you.
Yeah.
And that's it. Even the woman at the well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Jesus never told her, hey, here's the 5-step process to how we're going to see your village saved. Come and do all this stuff. We're going to train you for 5 weeks and then we'll send you out. She just went and told everyone she knew, I've experienced this person, Jesus. This is the experience, and it's crazy. Like, there's no way this experience would have happened any other way other than through this person. Yeah. And then the rest of the village were like, oh, that's interesting. Let's meet this person, Jesus. And so, you know, Jesus stayed with them a while. And what happened is that woman's experience of Jesus led to them being curious enough to put themselves in a position where, at the end of the day, they actually had their own experience of Jesus. Yeah. So the end of that story, they say, you know, we came to you because of this lady that we know and her experience, but now we can say from our own experience that you are in fact the Christ. And so part of our testimony, and part of why testimony is so powerful, is because our testimony can help bring people into an experience of Jesus and help them position themselves where they can meet Jesus for the first time or a fresh time, to help them then get their own experience, and then they have their experience that helps them anchor themselves in the situation, helps form their perspective and align it with God, and then they share that with other people, and then they share that with other people. So that is how testimony grows and replicates itself. Yeah. And that's part of how the knowledge of the glory of God and that experiential knowledge is going to be communicated. Is we share our experience of God with someone else, and us sharing that experience of God helps them experience God, and then they share their experience with God, which helps someone else experience God, and then they share their experience with God, and it goes on and on and on, and suddenly you've got a whole bunch of people who have all experienced God and are all sharing it, and it's you know what I mean? It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then we see here as well in the scripture that we read, 1 John 1, 2 to 3. This part here. We proclaim to you what we have seen and heard, so that you may also have fellowship with us. And our fellowship is with the Father and his Son, Jesus Christ. And part of testimony as well is that it helps us fellowship together and live life together in a very intimate way. And if you've done this, you'll know what I'm talking about. But when you share your testimony with someone, and you do like an exchange of testimonies, you know what I mean? Like when you're having one of those discussions where, oh, God did this for me, it's like, oh, that's amazing, God did this for me, and it's like, oh, that's amazing. That reminds me of when God did this for someone else that I know. It's like, oh, that's amazing. That reminds me, God did this for my aunt, or blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah.
What happens is you're fellowshipping together at that moment, and you're growing stronger together, and you're also encouraging each other. And your perspective then shifts from a situation to, you then begin to live in an expectation of God is a God who does things. And so then when you live in a place of God is a God who does things, and experiencing God in our life isn't abnormal, then that means that we actually experience God more. Because we're ready to experience him, and we're aware and we're open to that. Do you know what I mean? And so that's part of the importance of sharing your testimony. And a lot of times when it talks about encouraging each other, or having fellowship, a massive part of that is us sharing our testimonies with each other, and being 100%. Like, hey, you know what? This week was mad. I was going through this thing. But then Jesus did this, and it may not seem like a massive thing. Like sometimes I think we like to rank our testimonies, in it. So like, I'm only going to share the really big testimony of God saved me from a car crash, and an angel lifted my car. but I'm not going to tell the testimony of God helping me find my lost AirPod. Because I asked the Holy Spirit to help. And it reminds me of my friend Dave. Shout out Dave Patterson. No, I don't know if he's watching. Dave, probably not. Hi Dave. But he was telling me that when back just before COVID hit and all that jazz, they were in their student life group. And they were. I'm pretty sure it was Dave. Maybe it was someone else who said it, but I'm pretty sure it was Dave. And they were basically trying to encourage people and let the students be aware of God answers prayer. And so someone just gave a really simple testimony. I think it was about a cat. I think someone's cat someone's cat got lost, or cats are just random, innit? They just jet off somewhere for whatever business they've got. And so this cat had been away for a while, and they were really worried. So they plucked up the courage and shared this thing, like, guys, I don't know where my cat is. Can we pray for my cat? So they were like, yeah, okay, we'll pray for your cat. So they prayed for the cat. The cat arrived in short order, and basically that then became a testimony for them, because they were suddenly like, oh, the cat's here. But what that meant was that small testimony of a cat coming back, which they prayed for, that meant that they experienced God in so many different ways, because it encouraged them to pray about so many other things, and they actually saw a long string of miracles happen, which all came because of the testimony of we've experienced God help bring my pet back to me. And so if God cares about me and my pet, and making sure that my pet's safe, obviously he cares about this other situation that you're going through. But also it's a strengthening thing, because if you're going through a tough situation and you hear that God helped bring a cat back, you're like, God, you're God. If you I know my situation's big, but if you can bring a cat back, you can help me. Sure, like
Yeah.
surely. And
Yeah.
and that's part of the great thing about testimony is that it helps us take it back to God. You see this all the time, especially in
Yeah.
Psalm. You'll see God. You see them talk. God, remember when you did this,
Mm.
this, this. Lord, remember when you did this, this, this. Lord, save me
Yeah.
now, just like you did this, 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 this. And it creates an atmosphere of expectation that
Yeah. It's
God
good.
is going to meet you at your situation, not because of your situation, but because that's who God is and that's what God does. Like
Yeah.
that's God's MO is that
Yeah.
God shows up and God saves and God delivers
100%.
and God is merciful and God is gracious. And so if you live in an awareness of if you have enough like monuments in your mind
Mm.
in lots of different situations, that should mean that you live with anxiety and things like that less
Mm.
because you have more moments in your life when you've experienced God and
Yeah.
look, if God could do this for me,
Yeah.
this situation now, although it feels bad, it felt bad then as well, and he took care of it, so he's going to be able
Yeah.
to take care of this now. And I think we all know we've all had stuff like that. Even with like for me and Mercy, we've become debt free, but we
Mm.
went through a massive financial issue. Like just
Yeah.
it was just tough. Like Mercy didn't have a job for a few months. We were just on my wage, and like our saving had gone dry, and it's just like you just gotta keep going though. You can't stop
Yeah.
living. Just you know what I mean. Just gotta keep going.
Yeah.
And then we were in massive debt and all this stuff, and we just had to keep going. And we made a plan. We did the best we could in the situation, and we said, you know what, God, you. Even then, we had testimony though because we both said,
Yeah.
look, God brought us through other situations that we've been in financially where we thought we wouldn't be able to get through that. So
Yeah.
in this situation, which is it's definitely the worst situation we've been in, 100%.
Mm.
But God still delivered then. He'll deliver now.
Yeah.
Now we're debt free,
Come
and
on.
actually, we had so many
Come
financial
on.
miracles that led to us being debt free.
Yeah.
But also, it helped us in the situation that our
Yeah.
management of that situation was different
Yeah.
to if we hadn't had that experience.
Yeah. Come
But
on.
also, if we didn't remember the experience, so
Mm.
it's not all about it's not all about just having the experience, but it's about
Mm.
remembering, and
Yeah.
it
It's good.
helps you then safeguard yourself from um, either from experiencing certain things or
Mm.
even from starting from ground zero. Because can you
Yeah.
imagine, like you know, obviously wouldn't want it to happen, but for some reason we're in another horrible financial situation
Mm.
and then we start again all the way from the bottom of oh no, like what's gonna happen, like this is the end, da, 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 da. Like we don't need to do that because we have lived experience and stories of Jesus
Mm.
and how he has impacted our life. So that means if we do end up in that situation, it's peace. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the situation might be mad around us, but we know Jesus has done it. He's dealt with that. He's done it before,
Mm.
so that it's not an issue that he's gonna do it now.
Yeah.
And
Come
and
on.
I think that's part of why Jesus got so annoyed with the disciples. When they're on the boat or something. When he'd
Yeah.
fed the 5,000,
Y-
and then
Yeah.
he also fed. We don't talk about this that much. He fed another group of people
Yeah.
shortly after that. It wasn't just the 5,000, which even that 5,000 is probably more than 20,000
Yeah.
or more because it was 5,000 men. So
Yeah.
if you count for the average women and children in that time as well, it's a lot more than just five. And then the next group as well. And when they came to Jesus again later on in another story, and they're like, "Oh Jesus, what's going on here?" It's like, how do you not understand?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I already did that. I already
Yeah.
provided. And what Jesus was trying to say is, guys, you've experienced me. You have testimony of
Yeah.
me providing for you. And so just because the situation is different
Mm.
doesn't mean my provision is different. I'm
Yeah. It's
still going
good.
to provide. So that's
Yeah.
why he was asleep in the boat. because he said we're going to the other side. You know, everyone, if you're in church, I'm sure you've heard this, but that was his point: is we're going there. So whether it's smooth sailing or it's rough sailing, you guys should know, hey, Jesus is here, and we've experienced Jesus help us in other situations when all we had was like we had no resources at all. So you know, God somehow Jesus will pull it out of the bag, so to speak, because we got no clue what's going on. And you know, that's amazing, and that means then you can go through a positive situation or a negative situation and know for certain you can overcome it because Jesus has done it before. So he'll do it again. And one of my favorite songs is by Ty Tribbett. If he did it before, he'll do it again. Same God right now, same God back then. And that's the truth of testimony, is that God's not changing. And God isn't even like in our time space world, do you know what I mean? We experience time as a linear thing, but so God is present in the present, he's present in the past, and he's present in the future. So it's not even like God's, do you know what I mean? Like God's like, right, okay, I'm gonna have to save up. Gonna have to get an emergency fund ready because in 2021, Eamon's gonna go through this situation. Like God is already aware, and actually 100%. God has already provided. Like this is the part to me that's like, it's breaking my brain at the moment. Because like if you realize that God has already, like God has experienced your future already and provided and all that jazz. Then you realize that even though your present person hasn't experienced it, you've already experienced it because God has provided for you in your future already, and you just don't know. So, for example, like we had a bunch of financial miracles of like people just sending us money, but me and Mercy wouldn't know that money had been sent, but the money had already been sent, so that the miracles already happened. But us in our present had no idea, but God had done the work. Do you know what I mean? We just had to find out. So, you know, a lot of situations is us finding out the miracle that God has done.
Yeah, come on.
Do you get what I mean? Rather than like, oh God, like, will you do it's not a matter of whether God will do a miracle or not. God will get you out of the situation. Whether it's through something from other people, whether it's something he does within you, God will get you out of the situation. All you're doing is you're living out how he does that, because he's already done it. And so then once you live that, you then put a stone, you make a monument, make a strong memory in your mind, so that anytime you go past it, or anytime you see someone else go past it, you say, hey, I know you're going through this. I went through that as well. Look at what God did for me. If he can do it for me, he can 100% do it for you. And then you go through another situation, you do it again. Another place, do it again, you do it again. And that's why testimony is powerful. And that's why we overcome by the power, by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Because then you combine your experiences with the truth of what Jesus has done on the cross, with how he dealt with sin, how he dealt with sickness and disease, and also with your own lived experience. It's powerful. Do you know what I mean?
Fire.
It's like you don't have any room to doubt. Then, do you know what I mean? What you're doing then is you corner yourself in the assurance of Jesus, because if you just write down everything that the cross took care of, and then you write down all the times that you've experienced Jesus in your own life, and every kind of situation he took care of, then your only option is to believe Jesus. Because that's everything that's what you've experienced. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's about it now. We're at time. Gone a bit over. Sorry about that, guys. But you know,
it's fine.
When you do it for the brands, do you know what I mean? Do it for the brand. But yeah, that's testimony, guys. So you know, yeah, that's it.
Well done, mate. You did a great job. But I think it's important just to sort of just to quickly hammer that home though. Like, so sometimes testimony can sort of just be You know, when you hear a testimony of, as you were saying, someone's in a car crash, an angel lifted up the car and all this kind of stuff and whatever. You're like, oh my gosh,
Which,
whoa.
by the way, something very similar to that happened. Me and my family almost died in a car crash, and I don't even remember where we were traveling. We were traveling somewhere. I think it was like Zimbabwe or somewhere, and it was dark, and it was like whatever. It's like just a long road in a lot of countries in Zambia, because not Zambia, but in Africa, there, because it's so big. A lot of the roads are just long. It's just a long road that's cutting through somewhere. So it was one of those, and it was, there was trees around as well. It was dark, and I was pretty young. And then there was just this truck that was coming. Oh, Botswana, Mum says in the comments. There we go. It's Botswana. There's a truck coming, and it was gonna hit us because we were driving fast. They were driving fast, and Dad said, "In the name of Jesus," or something. I don't know. He prayed something, and literally, like, the car was just out the way. Do you know what I mean? Like, he could explain it better than me because I was only young. Or like apparently I said, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing," because in my, like, honestly, we were honestly gonna die. It was happening. It was basically done. I'll be like, hey, the death is in front of you. The bad situation is like they're coming for your neck, and then suddenly, in Jesus' name, boom. The car is safe.
That's mental.
And as a kid, and I didn't even remember it. That's what's wild about it, is that is such like a testimony where people would be like, oh, beating your chest about it. But in my head, I don't even remember it. That's now mad. Really, like, I could vaguely remember it. But Dad remembered it, and so then that experience then becomes my testimony for other things. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, though, like, it's because those sort of testimonies, it makes us go like, wow, that's amazing. Oh my God. Then sometimes when you hear, as you were saying, a testimony, someone's lost their AirPod. Yes, Holy Spirit to help them find it. You sort of go, oh yeah, cool. But regardless, it all sort of speaks to the character and the nature of who God is. And obviously, as you were saying, if we put up those pillars, those stones, and those things in our minds and whatever, and just remember, whether it's writing down, whatever. It sort of helps us understand now, okay, now in the future, when they're going through something similar, okay, I know because I've been through this before, or someone else has been through it before. I know the character and nature of God. So I know that I know that he's going to be able to get me out of this. And, as you said, it is the easiest evangelistic tool, because I used to do this in my old office.
You know yourself, your own testimony is about sharing testimonies with your mates. And,
Listen, like, honestly, I'm telling you right now, my old office used to work in pre-COVID. Literally, just somehow, just in a weird way, got talking, shared my testimony with someone. They told everybody in the office they told everyone my testimony. And then they would literally just be like, hey man, tell this person your testimony, whatever. Literally everyone in the office knew what was going on. So literally people used to come to me in the mornings and sit at my desk, go, hey man, could you just pray for me? Because I remember you saying that that you've seen God do this, or, you shared a story about sort of how someone got healed, or someone got provided for, whatever, like this. So can you pray for me for that? That it was just this, that from me, just some sharing it, I didn't have to answer any Bible questions. I didn't have to go to Bible school. I didn't have to go through, a 6-week course, or I didn't have to go to Now Go or anything like that. I could just simply just share a story. I'm just literally just sharing a story of what God has done for me, or what God has done for someone else. And that has been the hook for someone else to go, okay, God is real, and if God's real, I want to, blah, blah, blah. And I genuinely believe, John, people say all the time, like, when you die and go to heaven, there's going to be more people in heaven that you impact than you realize. I genuinely believe that just from those little stories that just getting shared every now and then, I'm going to be there, and there's going to be loads of people, and I'm like, wow. And it's all because 100%. I just shared a story. It's just important, guys. Talk about it. There we go. That's the tea from me.
Brilliant. So thanks so much for joining us, guys. Next week is Eamon heading up the topic. So, if you want any more difficult questions, feel free. Eamon will do it next week. But thank you so much for joining us. Spending your time with us on this rather lovely sunny Sunday in Oldham.
Bank holiday Sunday.
I hope your weather's nice wherever you are. And if you're listening to the podcast, thanks for joining us, whatever the day of the week, whatever situation you're going through. And you know what? If you're going through something, just remember all the times that God has gotten you through before. And if you did it before, you can do it again. Yeah, that's a bagger. You should all listen to that after this.
Yeah.
Go and listen to it. If you did it before, Thai Tribbit. You'll enjoy it. It's fun. You can dance to it. And it's great. I mean, so anyway, thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.